Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips, and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, episode 38, brought to you by PlayerBets. We've got a pretty cool episode today. With me as always is Simon. Simon, pretty interesting weekend of sport. I must say bookies must have made a lot of money.
Yeah, I must say I didn't find the past weekend very exciting in terms of sports. I think I may have some sort of Super Bowl hangover because even after one weekend of no NFL on the Sunday, my existence seems pretty futile.
Yeah,
but anyway, Super Rugby's back, which is something to look forward to.
Yeah, and just looking at some of the results from the weekend, let's start with the football. You had Man United losing to Newcastle, which really fancied United to put on a good show there. They didn't. And it was just a ripe for a sucker punch, and Newcastle took the one chance they had. Basically, I don't want to call it a penalty, but it might as well have been a penalty from how much space and time and where he took the shot from. So, no luck there. But Arsenal under 2.5 goals, 15-10, cracking price. So we got a winner there, but then we had a loser with Arsenal double chance. And how was your Premier League?
Yeah, unfortunately, we all sort of kind of picked the best bets, but didn't kind of tip them. So yeah, I mean, neither of us could point our listeners in the way of any winners, really. But the Spurs Arsenal game, yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a snooze fest, especially the first half. There was only actually one shot on goal between both sides in the first half, and then Spurs definitely asserted their dominance in the second half, and the match looked only really to be going one way. And then of course Harry Kane did his magic and he netted the goal, but I think Spurs quite rightly deserved to win that game.
No doubt about it. I mean, it could have been 2 or 3 easy, but it just wasn't. But good comprehensive win for them. Arsenal now in heaps of trouble. But good call on the under in that game, and I think I mean, obviously it's the listeners probably won't want to hear this, but yeah, right before the game I had a bet on Spurs to win to 0 at 3-1 because I also liked the under, which came in nicely, and then also the under 3 goals. But we didn't tip that, unfortunately, so we can't take credit for that. Yeah, but yeah, you did send me a message telling me you're on that, and I said, shut up, I'm on Arsenal double chance. So yeah, so it's an interesting game. It did heat up. I mean, Arsenal did miss chances. They missed Ramsey, I think, quite a lot. That new signing from United, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, looked Mkhitaryan or whatever it is. Mkhitaryan, there we go. He looked terrible. I mean, his crossing was, I don't know what he was trying to do. He was playing rugby, but he was trying to hit it out the stadium, over the spectators, not even towards the goal. So, lots of improvement needs to come from him. And then on to Six Nations, where the England-Wales game was a lot closer than people anticipated. And it should have been a lot closer as well. It was, there was a Welsh try, there's a tongue twister, a Welsh try that was disallowed for absolutely no reason by the TMO. It looked perfectly good. Would it have changed the outcome of the game? Possibly. It would have made it 12-10, or should have made it 12-10. And, that could have really opened it up for an interesting finish. But, lots of talk about England not being as invulnerable as they like to think.
Yeah, no, sure. That's, I must say, I expected Wales to put in a much better performance this week. I mean, they were terrible. They were terrible last week. But one game I did really enjoy watching just because they really did have a fantastic game was the Ireland game. And I mean, after their mediocre performance against France last week, they really had a resounding win over Italy, and they ran all over them. But I must say, I know you mentioned this as well, but that England-Wales game was very interesting to watch from a defense perspective. It was a very absorbing game, and considering how few points were scored, it was a great watch.
Yeah, really enjoyed that game. And then there was the France-Scotland game, which I fancied France on the outright. It's still a decent shot, seeing that the cap was 6 to 7.5. I did send out a newsletter to take France plus 7.5, which would have landed. I know a lot of people got -6 on Scotland, which, ouch, 3-way markets, goodbye.
Yeah.
And you fancied the French on the plus as well, Simon?
Yeah, I did. So I took a bit of money line and I took a bit of plus, and I traded out of the money line bet because I just kind of lost my confidence a bit.
So I got a push on that one. The reason I didn't take the plus 7.5 was just because it was very juiced. I was only getting 7 to 10 on that. So I decided to take the 6, which was a push. But, I mean, we both were on the right side there, really. And I guess, you would have got a win or a push depending on which number you took. But just once again, I mean, we've talked about the importance of getting the best number, on the podcast, many times before. And, this is just another example. This weekend, it saved my bacon. So, you should always shop around for the best odds, or spread because, it is the surest way to win in the long term, betting on sport.
Definitely. And, it's also just a key factor mentioned that even if you are losing a bit of juice on plus 7.5, it's a much better number to take than plus 6.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, the tries with basically 5 points, conversions with 2 points. So you're getting more than a try and a conversion, which is always better than having something in between that, which is not quite
Absolutely.
a try and not quite a try and a conversion. So.
Yeah, look, it's a kind of risk-reward equation that you kind of have to weigh up with yourself, It just depends on what kind of bet you are. It depends, for instance, if you're taking it as a single, I would personally I would worry more about what those odds are. Whereas if I'm taking an ACCA, I would take the plus 7.5, no problem. So it just depends on what kind of bet you are, really, I think.
Definitely.
What kind of bet you take.
All right, we had a quick chat to Oracle from Oracle Rugby about the upcoming Super Rugby. We're going to jump straight into that one now. Today I'm speaking to Gavin from Oracle Rugby. Gavin, how's it going?
I'm very well, thank you, Robert. How are you doing?
Fantastic, thank you. Gavin, we've been following your tips for a while. We've been posting your tips up on Best Sports Betting. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners? So, tell us a bit about yourself, your history in sports betting, and a bit about Oracle Rugby.
Okay, perfect. Thanks very much, Robert. My name's Gavin. I live in Assegai. I live between Durban and Maritzburg. I'm a pretty strong line supporter, but I don't let that affect my tipping or my betting. I try and keep emotion out of my plays. I've been involved in the bookmaking and betting industry for about 20 years now, and worked for a few different companies, doing all sorts of things. And after people used to phone me, my mates used to phone me on a Friday and ask me for their tip for what I liked over the weekend. And eventually, after a few years, I decided to, motivated by my kids' YouTube channel, decided to start up a YouTube channel, and that eventually became a website. And basically, what I'm doing is looking at the bigger games of the weekend, rugby union, obviously. So currently, we're looking at Six Nations, Super Rugby about to start. So very excited about that. Covered the Currie Cup. I covered the internationals. Pretty much all the rugby that's on TV in South Africa. I know it's most of it's on TV in Australia, New Zealand, and America. Sorry, England as well. Just mainly betting on handicaps. So the 9 to 10 either side. Most bookmakers draw a line in the sand and say, well, a team will win by 10.5 or 12.5 or 3.5 or whatever it is. And it's up to me to give you the best side of the handicap where the value lies. So, if I'm not too confident, I'll have a lower strike or I won't have a bet. And, I'm a winner. I've been winning for a few years. That's pretty much it.
Okay, great.
The website.
We've got the Super Rugby coming up now, and you did mention to me earlier that you're still busy with your previews. But let's have a quick chat about the outrights. I mean, I had a look at the outrights the other day. Are you fancying? Is it a banker for a New Zealand side to win, or do you think the Lions have an outside chance?
Well, I do like the Lions. I like the Lions for a couple of reasons. They've got such a good start. They for their first 8 games. They've got one match against the Jaguars where they've got to travel, and one game against the Bulls. Other than that, they're at home. So they've got 6 home games. 6 home games. The one game up the road to Loftus, and then obviously that last trip up to the Jaguars before they come back for 2 of their home games. So inside of that 8-game stretch are those 2 away games, and that's when a team gets a start like that. They've got to start well now, so they've got to beat the Sharks this weekend coming up, and they've just got to keep the momentum going. But if they can go overseas with, 5, possibly 6 wins out of those 8, or even 7 out of those 8, then they'll be in the final.
Okay, so you reckon the 7-8 to 1 is pretty good value on them?
Well, I couldn't get that, so I didn't find 7-1. In fact, I only managed to find 5.5-1. I haven't had a proper look though, so
okay.
I should go back really. But at 7-1, I'm interested. At 5-1, I'm not. That's pretty much my line.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I mean, I was having a look the other day at Sporting Bet, and they had 15-2, which is smack bang in the middle between
7.5-1. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm just going to have a look. Sorry.
Yeah,
and 100%.
So you quite fancy the Lions to get far. Which New Zealand side do you think is gonna do well this season? You've got the Chiefs, you've got the Crusaders, and and the others. So do you think there's going to be one that's going to dominate the others?
No, I don't fancy the Blues this year. I know they should do a little bit better than last year. The Highlanders didn't impress me either. I've looked at some of the changes they've made to their team. I'm back on the Crusaders again. I think there's not a lot of value in the prices. And the thing with Super Rugby, and I tell this to people every year, is at 4 or 5-1, you can actually wait till during the season, wait for your team to have 2 bad games, and bang, you got the price again. If the Lions lose 2 of these 8 matches, you're still going to get your 6 or 7-1. So taking that bet early on, in fact, anything under 7-1 outright in Super Rugby early on in the season, it's a dangerous bet because you can most often get that price later on in the tournament. It's such a long tournament. It's 19 weeks just in pool play before you get to the outrights. And if you remember the pricing from last year, the Lions and the Crusaders, yes, they got to the final, and their prices weren't great. But if you'd gone for the Hurricanes or the Chiefs, and they got into the final, you would have got a fantastic price because those away teams do get big prices.
All right, yeah. I mean, there's some good prices looking ahead, and it's something that I like to do with the NFL as well. You look at a big team and you look at them for the outright, and you just spot a couple games that they're going to have that are tough games. You kind of hope that they lose those games because you're going to get a much better outright price after they lose those games, especially if they come off almost a big shock of a loss. They get beaten, let's say like 28-7 or something like that. The complete overreaction from bookmakers. So,
yeah,
some good advice.
The other team for me in South Africa is the Sharks. Now, 25-1 is definitely a decent price. That particular one I'm not going to go for, but if you are a Sharks fan, it's not a bad price because for me, for the Sharks to get to top the South African log, for me, they've got to beat the Lions in both games. So if they go to Joburg next week and win that game and have the confidence to win the game in July, right at the end of the season, I think they'll do just as well as the Lions on all the other fixtures. And, they've got a tricky start, though, the Sharks. So if they can get that Lions win behind them, then they're runners. But I'll tell you what definitely interested me with the Sharks was even money to qualify for the playoffs. I think that's an outstanding bet. And I'll tell you, for how the playoffs work this year is the top 3 teams. So let's even assume that the Lions win the Southern Conference. So you've got the 3 teams that go through. There's a further 5 teams from all 3 conferences that will go through. And from the Australian conference, I cannot see a second team going through. They're going to be absolutely murdered this year. They've got to play. Last year, they didn't have the mix of South Africa and New Zealand. This year, they're going to have a proper mix of South Africa and New Zealand. They only have a small mix. This year, they're playing 4 of the South African sides, well, including the Jaguars, obviously. So 1 or 2 of them will miss the Jaguars. 1 of them will miss the Jaguars. And they've got to play 4 of the New Zealand sides as well. And I don't see those Australian teams competing against South Africa and New Zealand. So I see 1 team coming out of the Australian conference going into this playoffs. And that quite frankly means that 5 of the New Zealand and South African teams are going through. And even our second best team can't be as worse than the 4th team in New Zealand. So for me, that almost guarantees a second team in South Africa. In fact, I say it does guarantee it. And at even money, the Sharks, that for me is the prime bet of this whole Super Rugby right now.
There.
Yes, you've got to wait a long time for it, but that's the kind of strike that definitely got my attention.
All right. Well, Gavin, thanks for coming in and chatting to us. Can you tell our listeners where we can find you? You've got your oraclerugby.com and you're on Facebook.
Yeah, oraclerugby.com, and I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook. Just type in Oracle Rugby on Facebook, type in Oracle Rugby on Twitter, you'll find me.
All right, fantastic. So, guys, go check out Oracle Rugby, and good luck with your picks this week. Let's hope you grab some early winners.
Thank you very much, Rob. Enjoy the evening.
You too. Ciao. All right, so Oracle fancies the Lions to get to the final, and he fancies the Sharks to qualify at even money. So, guys, go check him out, oraclerugby.com. He posts lots of content, lots of interesting stuff. You can't fault the guy for the effort he puts in. Whether you like him or not, he is somewhat controversial to some people. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. Simon, what do you like for the Super Rugby? We've only got 2 matches this week. I haven't really made up my mind. 2 pretty tough matches to call, actually. Is there anything that really jumps out at you?
Yeah, I must say, just off the bat, I'm very excited that Super Rugby's back. And yeah, as I said, it's going to fill my NFL void, which I'm very happy about, which I'm already missing. Yeah, so we've got a short card this week. Only 2 fixtures. So as you say, Stormers hosting the Jaguars at Newlands and Lions hosting the Sharks at Loftus. Look, it's a long season, so I like to first fill out the teams before taking any serious positions from a betting standpoint. I don't think there's any reason to rush to throw your entire bankroll in week 1. But at first glance, again, this was kind of the same thing as I saw when I looked at that France-Scotland game. I just think you're definitely getting too many points here with the Sharks.
Yeah, 8.5. So it's a bit crazy.
Yeah. So I just think, I know the Curry Cup's the Curry Cup, but let's be honest, the Sharks were by far a better team in terms of recent performances and what we've seen of these teams. So I looked into injuries, and they are missing Quinny Osterhuizen.
As long as you're on the Lions injury list, it is, yeah.
Well, there we go. So not only, I think if you just look at these teams straight up, I think that the Sharks are probably a bit stronger, but there you go. The Lions are more banged up as well. So I just think that built into this line is the Lions' history. Obviously, the fact they've been to 2 Super Rugby finals. That's got to count for a lot. But I don't think this is an 8.5 point game. I really don't. And I know the Sharks are obviously way stronger at home, but still, I think 8.5 points is too much. So I would have handicapped this at 4, maximum 5 points to the Lions.
I would have it at around 6. So 6.5.
Yeah.
So I still think that 8.5 is pretty good value.
Yeah, I definitely think it's value. I think anything over a converted try is most certainly value. So yeah, I think just based on the way these teams matched up last season, I think there's value in that number, and the Sharks are being undervalued in the market. So so I don't have a lean on the Stormers game. I think they should win the game. I don't know. Maybe 20 points.
It's a nothing game, really. What is the spread? I haven't actually looked at the spread. Is it like 14?
The spread's the same. No, the spread's the same. The spread's the same.
8.5, okay.
Yeah, I think, look, if you put a gun to my head, I would take the Stormers minus the points, but I'm definitely keener on the Sharks plus the points there. So, look, the Jaguars, I've made good money fading them last season, but as I said, I'm going to go small in these games. Just got to suss out the teams a bit. But yeah, first glance, Sharks plus 8.5 at Loftus looks good to me.
Oh, fantastic. And so that's your pick. I quite like the plus 8.5. I'm almost shocked that you're getting so much value on it. So that's definitely one that I'll get involved in. And then there's no Premier League this weekend, Simon, but we do have Champions League on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Europa League on Thursday.
That's right.
Couple of good games coming up for the Champions League, especially Juventus Tottenham. I'm not going to be having a bet there, but that looks like a crack of a fixture. Then also on Wednesday we've got Real Madrid PSG, another real cracker of a fixture.
Yeah, so it's after quite a long break now into the quarterfinals, which is quite exciting, and it's good to see. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are probably Premier League fans. We have three Premier League teams in the final 8, which is good to see, and it's testament to the current strength, or at least the huge amount of money in English football at the moment, which is good to see. So Basel hosts Man City, Juventus hosts Spurs, Porto hosts Liverpool, and Real Madrid hosts PSG. Interesting games. I think.
Well, I see value straight off the bat there. But yeah, I'll let you have your 2 cents worth first.
Yeah, look, I think these games are tough to call. I must say, just looking at the Champions League as a whole, I think the format needs to change. I think that these earlier stages, the group stages, are just too many absolute walkovers, and for it to actually only get to the final 8 before you have any interesting matchups, to me is actually a bit ridiculous. But anyway, that's a discussion for another time. But the one bet I like, which is a bit of a no-brainer to me, is both teams to score in Porto Liverpool. Now, it must be said, Rob, that this bet let you and myself down hugely when Liverpool had their blip against Swansea. But I just can't see this happening again. Porto playing at home in Portugal, and they're scoring prolifically in their domestic league. And obviously, I'm sure our listeners will probably know Liverpool are the Premier League's top scorers away from home by quite a margin, in fact. Look, I don't like the short odds of 6-10 on BTS, so I'm going to stick my neck out a bit, and I'm going to put my faith in Liverpool getting a fast start in this match. So I'll take them to score a goal in the first half at 9-10. So them just to net a goal and not rely on Porto. But I think that they're going to be goals in this match, and I think they'll come early. Liverpool tends to get ahead quite early in the match.
All right, well, my fantasy is in the Juventus Spurs game, and I was just looking at some of the stats and Juventus' recent form, and they have won 14 of their last 15 matches. Now that is just incredible. That's home, away, all different leagues, etc.
And conceded one goal, if I'm not mistaken, Rob. One goal.
They've conceded. I didn't actually. I've actually just having a look now. Only conceded one goal. Yeah, and that was against Verona in the Serie A, playing away from home when they won 3-1. So, and even before that, I can go back further. I can add another 5-6 games on there where they hadn't actually conceded. So they've conceded one goal in 20 games. This is Champions League against Barcelona. This is taking all of these things away to Olympiacos. I don't think Spurs have a snowball's chance in hell against Juventus. I think it's going to be a 2-0 Juventus win, and you're getting cracking odds of 12-10 on Juventus to win, even 13-10 in places. So my money's going there. It's more of a betting on Juventus than fading Spurs. Spurs haven't been fantastic away from home. They haven't been terrible either, but they drew with Real Madrid, which is noteworthy, I guess. They got a result against Dortmund, so they're not terrible on the road in Champions League, but I just think Juventus is a different animal.
I must say, I'm with you 100%, Rob, and I think, and I don't know why, but I see the bookmakers undervalue Juventus every single year in the Champions League. I really do. I don't know why, but they do, and they're a team that they don't kind of shine on the stat sheet very often, but they get the job done. And I honestly think there's often value in almost every single one of their games. I don't know why the market hasn't caught up to them, but I agree. I definitely see value in that team.
Yeah, and what you must remember, it's a 2-leg game, so Spurs will take a 1-0 loss or something like that. If they can, if they go down 1 and they just defend off so they don't lose more, and they'll take it back to London and try get a few more. I mean, it's also their first trip to Turin, so it's a no-brainer for me, really. I just can't look anywhere else than that. I don't even see a draw happening there. But then the other matches, we've got Basel City, not really interested in getting involved there. City are 3-10, no value. And then we've got Real Madrid PSG, which screams goals on paper. It looks like it's going to have goals galore. And looking at the lines, under 2.5 is 18-10. So I'm going to be having a nibble on the under simply because it's a knockout game. I can see this game going over easily. This is more of a speculative bet than
you can't ignore that line.
It's just too high.
I'm with you 100%, Rob. I think that we talked about this with the Arsenal Spurs match, and this is even more of a high profile matchup. And I just think that you got to understand also that bookmakers always take into account the amount of handle they're going to get on a game, and people much prefer to back the team they generally support in the back of the overs. And regardless of how many goals there have been between these two teams, I think that there's definitely value in that under, because 3 goals, sure. I mean, that line's nearly at 4. I just think that you're definitely getting value on that under. And even if you maybe take it in play, you maybe can get even more value. But I definitely think under 2.5, under 3 on the Asian line.
Well, under 3.5 at 15-10 is also not too bad. But the thing is, then you're going into the line of really fancying there to be no goals or not that many goals. So I'd rather go with the under 2.5. Just looking at the stats go completely against everything I've just said. Real Madrid have had 3 goals or more in their last 5 games. PSG have had 3 or more goals in 8 of their last 9 games. So you would think that these two teams coming together would be goals, but I'm just taking the contrarian approach completely, and I'm going with unders.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right way to go. I think sometimes with these sort of games, it's either go contrarian or leave it alone. Is my opinion often in these kind of matchups.
All right, guys. Simon, is there anything else that you'd like to add for the upcoming weekend, or Anything you'd like to chat about before we end off today's show?
No, I just think best bets, Rob.
Let's go straight to it then. So my best bet's going to be, I'm going to jump the gun. I'm going to take Juventus to beat Spurs, 12-10. I think I'm very confident. I don't want to say I'm very confident, but this is, for me, a larger stake than usual. So my confidence levels are up there for this match. And then I'll be having a nibble on Madrid, PSG under 2.5 goals. I'm not going to be getting too involved in the Super Rugby. I'll have a bet, but it's not my best bet. I'll leave that to you, Simon.
Okay, yeah. So I'm also looking at the Champions League. I tipped Liverpool to score in the first half at odds of 9-10, but my best bet, I will play it a little safer, and then I'll rather give out more of a sure thing in my opinion, which is both teams to score, which is odds of 6-10. But what you can do, I honestly think that this will land in the first half, and that's at cracking odds of 3-1. So if you're brave enough to have a smaller bet, maybe split your stakes. You can have both teams to score in the first half, in Liverpool Porto at 3-1. But I think both teams to score at 6-10 is really as sure as it gets.
Okay, so Simon's going with Liverpool Porto, both teams score. I'm going with Juventus to beat Spurs. Guys, have a good one. We'll see you next week. Go check us out on www.bestsportsbetting.co.za, and we'll catch you next week for episode 39. Simon, have a good one.
You too, Rob.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.